Hey everybody, what is going on? Welcome back to another episode of Yammy Noob. A bit of a controversial one today, but we are going to be jumping into why I actually wouldn't own an R1. It's a bit of a controversial opinion. I know this is our giveaway motorcycle, one of the best motorcycles we've ever featured, but I really do feel strongly that it's not really the right bike for me personally, but I'd love to talk to you today about why, even though it's not the right bike for me, I think it makes a lot of sense for other people. But let's jump in. Before we do, though, I just want to remind you guys that time is running out for our other giveaway bikes over here. We've got our Triumph Street Triple, our XSR 700, and our KTM Duke 390. There's just a few days left to get entered, and I really wouldn't want you guys to miss it. Head on over to YammyNoobMerch.com, use the code YAM10 at checkout, get yourself 10% off and 2x entries on all of these fantastic motorcycles. There's only 2 days left, I think. June 7th at midnight or 11:59 p.m. Is going to be the last moment to enter. So make sure you enter to win. You can also go to YammyNoob.co, sign up for our Discord server, and you actually get 10x entries per dollar there, and you can sign up to win and all that good stuff. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alrighty, everybody, welcome to the vlog. We're actually on the Desert Sled today. I feel like it's been a while since this bike has been featured on the channel. I think it's been a hot minute since y'all have seen the sled. I post about it on Instagram a lot, but I don't think a lot of you see it on Instagram. And by the way, I am squidding a little bit today. I'm so sorry. It is a little bit warm, and I just wanted to feel that cool summer breeze through my sweet little yam breasts, I guess was what I just touched there. So, let's get into today's video. I'm talking about why I personally wouldn't own the R1, but that doesn't mean that it's a bad bike or you shouldn't own one. I just wanted to give my 2 cents on why I don't think the bike is right for me personally as a more experienced motorcyclist, as someone who does indeed enjoy sport bikes. It's not to say that I don't enjoy sport bikes and that's why I don't want an R1. But yeah, let's jump in. So the first point I wanted to make is, and this is going to be hard to hear for some of you, but the R1 is just not a fun motorcycle to ride on the day-to-day. Comparing it to something like a Desert Sled or a 650 class bike or even an 800 class bike, whatever you want, you just don't get to experience much of the power band when you flip through something. You just don't get to go through the gears as much. You don't get to really experience much of the performance. On the R1, you could literally take all of these roads going in first gear if you wanted to. You really couldn't like get past second or third gear, giving it any kind of serious power. And that's just kind of boring. It's a little boring to ride a bike that's just not going to give you that much performance and, you know, fun factor. One thing that I think a lot about is Jake the Garden Snake did a video on the R1 a long time ago, and I remember when I watched it, I was a little Daytona street squid, and I really love my sport bikes. And don't get me wrong, I really do love my sport bikes still. You guys see me on the gram posting up track day footage and track day videos and photos and all kinds of good stuff from the track. I love ripping a sport bike at a fast pace. It's one of my favorite things to do in the world. But he rode the R1 around, and he was just like, man, this thing sucks. It's boring. It's like fast in an annoying way, and it's just like this motor's amazing, but at the same time, like, I'm not having any fun riding this thing. It's super leaned over, super committed. And at the time, I didn't really understand. I was like, well, what's the point of that? You know, I thought the whole point of motorcycling is to have something fast and crazy and fun. But really, the more time you spend riding, especially for street stuff, you find that the fun is really between like 0 and about 50 to 60 miles per hour. I'm not the type that I don't love to do crazy big highway pulls or anything like that. I know a lot of people love to head out to their local interstate and bang out 120, 140 miles per hour. That's really not my bag. I think it's a little unsafe to do that sort of thing. And so for me, a bike like this is perfect because you get to goof around, you get to have fun with it, and you can feel the performance of it, mow through the gears a little bit, and it's really comfortable to ride, which for me is a big deal. I love a comfortable bike. And so this to me is just like one of the best riding experiences, and the R1 just doesn't really give me that. And the second point I wanted to make around that is a lot of more experienced riders will go for something like this, will go for something like a 650 class bike, they'll go for a supermoto, they'll go for the kind of, mid-range. I'm thinking back to a review I saw the other day of, I believe his name is Troy over at motorcycle.com or something like that, and he reviewed the KTM 890, and he was saying something I totally agree with, and I've been thinking about this for a long time, where, you know, about 120 horsepower is just the real sweet spot for a street bike. You don't really need a whole lot much more than that. You can enjoy it, have fun with it, move with the gears, and really, really appreciate it. I'm thinking of another example where there was a guy on our Discord server, actually. His name was Trevor St. McGoodbody. Trevor, if you're watching the video, what's up, my man? He used to have a CBR 1000 RR, thought that was what he needed to have, big bad leader bike, super big power type of bike, and he's very, like, vocal about the fact that he's like, dude, that bike sucked. I hated riding it. It was annoying to ride on the street, and just wasn't really what I was looking for. What's going on here? We're just stopped in the road. Okay, that's cool. Can't really do that, but all right. So yeah, he thought that the CBR was what he needed, really big bad leader bike, but he said he just didn't like it, and he actually switched to a VFR 800, and he was way happier, much more comfortable ergonomics, much more normal kind of riding position, and he was just having a blast, you know. Or think of another example, right? I saw the other day, I don't remember, I think it was on Instagram, I don't think he posted about it on his on YouTube or anything like that, or on the Revzilla page. I found out that Zach Hortz, one of my most respected motorcycle content contributors on the internet. I think he does amazing stuff, super cool guy, really great at presenting information, really affable kind of dude, and just like super knowledgeable and amazing on a motorcycle, much more talented than me. You know, I saw that he had a KTM Supermoto as his daily ride, and I was like, man, that makes so much sense. Like, you know, given the type of riding that I see that Zach likes doing, that more kind of sporty, kind of fun factor, I think he's kind of figured out over many, many years of motorcycling that, you know, a Supermoto or a more upright bike is just the way to go for street stuff. And I gotta agree, man. I mean, even for me, and don't worry guys, I'm gonna get into it to who I think should own the R1, and, you know, why I do think it could totally be a bike that you would own. I'm just trying to explain first why it's not for me personally. You know, even as a guy, I have a race prep Daytona 675R. I love riding motorcycles at the track. The more and more experienced I get on track, the less and less I want a leader bike, honestly. There's only a couple things that a leader bike offers that I'd like on my 675R. And that's stuff like an auto blip downshifter, maybe advanced traction control would be cool to start experimenting with sliding and doing that kind of stuff, because I'm getting to that point where that would be a nice safety net to have on the bike. But really, it's not necessary. And like 90% of the professional riders I've spoken to, some Moto America guys I've gotten the chance to chat with, you know, they say the leader bikes are super fun, but at the same time, it's expensive as hell to run. They're just a handful. They tire you out a lot. You know, 200 horsepower, guys, is an unbelievable amount of power. And if you're actually riding at pace on track, you will understand just how insane that is. It is just unbelievable what those machines can do. So even for me, as a pretty diehard sport bike guy, it's just not something I'd be really into, honestly. Here's the thing, just because I wouldn't own an R1 and it's not really the right bike for me, doesn't mean that it's not the right bike for somebody else. Here's what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of a guy or girl who wants, you know, just the biggest and baddest bike. They like doing some highway pulls. They like feeling the top end power of a bike. You know, I'm not condoning that you go out and do 150 miles per hour on the street, but hey, maybe you got a big wide open interstate like we do here in Texas, and every once in a while you like to take it up to 110, 120 miles per hour. That's cool. Whatever. That's your life, your decision. Maybe you like doing that. A leader bike's a good choice for that. Maybe you can only afford one bike and you do a couple of track days every year, and you're totally cool with your ego getting bruised every time you go out on track, and your leader bike just laughs at you and says, why aren't you faster? And you just want the latest and greatest. That's cool. Maybe you're really into the technology of the motorcycle and you think that it's just, you know, a fantastic piece of equipment. You love all the slide control, the TFTs, the displays, the linked brakes, the magnesium. Maybe you want to brag to your buddies a little bit, you know, maybe you want to show up to bike night and be like, yeah, I got a $20,000 motorcycle and it's ridiculous and I love owning it. That's totally cool. I think there's a place for all of that in the world, and I think everyone should enjoy what they want to enjoy. And I've met tons of guys who, you know, I want to be fair here, maybe they're not super advanced track day kind of guys, and they're not super committed sport bike riders. They happen to have a R1 or an S1000RR or something like that, and they really enjoy it, you know? And that's cool. I think that's totally cool. I don't think everybody who has a sport bike needs to approach it from a place of like, oh, I gotta be like a master of the craft. I gotta be super prodigiously good at riding this machine. You know, that's my bag when it comes to riding a motorcycle, and I love doing that, and it really fulfills me to be able to really master my bike. But hey, some people don't want to do that, you know? But I really can't get away from the fact that if you've spent any time on other motorcycles, it's really apparent that leader bikes are just not that fun to ride on the street. And it's why you don't see a whole lot of, you know, very experienced motorcyclists who've tried a lot of different bikes have a leader bike as their main street bike. It's very rare to see that. I've only seen it a handful of times, honestly. If you are a more experienced motorcycle, you've spent a lot of time in different saddles, eventually you end up on, you know, a more upright, comfortable, torquey bike. It's just, it seems to be the winning formula, you know? It doesn't have to be a supermoto, it doesn't have to be a naked bike. I've just seen a lot of folks end up in that spot. And again, it's not to say that that's the most patrician kind of choice when it comes to motorcycling, but it is a very common choice, you know? It's a very common choice that a lot of people end up using. Like this kind of riding and this kind of exploring, you just, I mean, I guess you could do it with an R1, but boy, is it the wrong tool for the job. It's like taking an impact gun to build some furniture. It just feels like the biggest overkill ever. And this is the kind of riding I love doing, man. This is the stuff that just really stirs my soul when it comes to street riding. It's being upright, comfortable, exploring stuff. It's kind of lower stakes, you know? I like segmenting my riding a lot. I don't love, you know, taking something out of its place and putting it in the street, or taking something out of its place and putting it in the dirt, or something like that. Even though I've taken a handful of street bikes and put them on the dirt, much to the chagrin of many people online, even this bike to an extent. It's just, you know, I like segmenting it a little bit more, and I just can't really imagine cruising down here on an R1, you know? But then again, I can't imagine cruising at a $120 on the highway on a desert sled. You know, probably get a nice little tank slapper on these knobby tires and yeet yourself into the sun if you did that. All that to say, I think the R1's an amazing motorcycle. It really is. Every time I ride it, I'm just shocked at what it can do and the performance it has, and the fact that technology has advanced to that point. It is just truly unbelievable what that machine can do. But is it a bike that I would want to own and ride every day? God, no. No way, man. It's really not the sort of experience that I would want to have day in and day out. And it's a big reason why I don't have a Daytona for the street anymore. It just kind of just sucked, you know? But again, I don't think that that is everyone's bag. I think that there's certainly something to be said about the guy who really enjoys having a super bike for the street. Totally cool, man. I think if that's your thing, go for it. I know that a lot of people think the Scrambler is a very stupid motorcycle. I hear about it a lot on the internet, where people clown me for paying so much money for this bike, or the fact that it's a bad dirt bike and a bad road bike, but I just don't care. I love it to pieces. We're going to be doing a really cool desert shootout with this motorcycle and Spite's DRZ. We're heading out to Big Bend in a couple of weeks, and we're going to shoot my year-long review of this bike. Is coming up in 2 weeks or so. I've had it for a year, and I'm more in love with it than when I bought it. I'm head over heels with this motorcycle, and it's been so fun owning it, and gosh, I love this thing. And so yeah, you know, my dad used to say something to me, and it was in Portuguese. He'd say, "O gosto não se discute," which means, in the matters of taste, there is no discussion. And I do think that's true. You know, when it comes to what you like and what you want, dude, whatever you want, just get whatever you want, you know? Like, if you love an R1 and you want to get an R1, go for it. But I very, very, very much do recommend that you get yourself a test ride that's a little bit longer term. Maybe try it out for a little bit longer if you're able to. Hey, maybe rent one on Twisted Road if you can find one. But I really do recommend it, because it might not be exactly what you're thinking that you want, you know? Because maybe you're not a super experienced motorcyclist and you see 200 horsepower, crazy top end, super bike, awesome noises, and, you know, the sort of little child in you is just like, wow, you know, that sounds amazing. And it is, it's amazing. But is it something you want every single day? Oof, tough to say. For me, Definitely not. So, I hate to break it to you, but this video is actually over. But if you hit this one right over here, you can keep watching your sweet Papa Yam doing some fun stuff. And if for nothing else, do it for Yammy-chan. Don't worry, I'll wait. I'll just wait. It's okay. Take your time.